Hi, thanks for joining me today. Last week I had the opportunity to spend some time with you sharing about the elements of thought, ways in which we can critique our thoughts, improve our thoughts with the hope of more skilled inquiry. Today what I'd like to share with you is how it is that I got involved in this, and then go over some of the standards, some of the simple questions that we can use to help ourselves determine the lay of the land with more skill. Like anything, the more we practice, the more we have an opportunity to improve upon our skills. Like it is when we want to improve our game of golf, we have to go golf. We can't just watch it on TV. We want to improve our tennis game. We've got to get out on the court and challenge ourselves. Same thing with skilled thinking. We can improve our thinking by asking ourselves some questions. But back to how it is that I got involved in this. A friend of mine was pretty sick. She was teaching in class and she needed some help grading. I offered that assistance, and she gave me a pretty large stack of things to go through. In the middle of that stack, and I don't think she had intended to include that, was the 13-page document on the Columbia shuttle disaster and the analysis of what had happened there. It was the investigations board of that particular incident. As you may remember, 8 astronauts left the globe, and on their way out, a tile came loose, hit the front left wing, and created some damage. Their concern, of course, when they were in orbit was how they were going to re-enter with a massive amount of heat. Well, that analysis was put together exhaustively with Dr. Richard Paul's engineering analysis, and this was being looked at in this document, and the conclusion was that the engineers, all the people, the astrophysicists, arguably some very bright people, had run into a problem that we all run into, and that's ego and territorialism. It got in their way. The engineers from Johnson wouldn't talk to the engineers from NASA. The older engineers were listening to the younger engineers, and they were not doing things like not picking up phone calls, not returning phone calls, not responding to emails because they thought they had the answers. We all watched in horror as 8 astronauts died on the way back in. I had seen this too in my life, and perhaps you have also, where we think we know what the right answer is, we dig our heels in, we're sure we're right, we find out, unfortunately, that we're wrong, and sometimes dead wrong. So the standards, the questions that we can ask ourselves and practice to improve our thinking with the hopes of becoming more gentle, more empathetic, more thoughtful, more courageous in our ability to reason, are simply these. You can ask yourself when you're thinking about a belief system that you have, or something that you're working on, something that you want to spend some time thinking about to break it apart, is it clear? Is this precise? Is it accurate? It might be clear and precise, but it might not be accurate. Is it logical? Does it make sense? Is it fair? Have you thoroughly asked all the questions that need to be asked? Have you come to some short conclusions when perhaps you could look at the depth and breadth of this particular question that you're looking at? Are there people that perhaps you could interview to get some feedback? Now, obviously not all questions need to have some thorough analysis. 1 + 1 = 2, we know that. We know that I may like blue and you may like green, and that's subjective. But some of the bigger problems that we deal with in the world and in our own thinking have to do with bias, prejudice, and feeling as if we own the truth. So here's an opportunity to break some of those things apart. We can make a difference in the world, in everything that we do, by asking ourselves some thoughtful questions. It's something we can all do to improve our thinking. Thank you so much for this time. Have a good day.